Oh, it was Power here to review the Ultraman Trigger DX G.U.T.S Sparklense. So this is the main transformation device within Ultraman Trigger. Obviously, Ultraman Trigger being a spiritual sequel, successor to Ultraman Tiga, as this is celebrating, or this is both celebrating the 50th anniversary, the 55th anniversary of Ultraman as a whole, but specifically the 25th anniversary of Tiga. So obviously you got Trigger multi-type right there, the G.U.T.S Sparklense in Sparklense mode, and then Hypergun mode. Then you get the gimmicks for the year, the G.U.T.S Hyper Keys. Then here you got Kengo. Get another shot of the Spark lens and the advertisement for PowerRider's streaming service, PowerRider Imagination. You get the interactivity you get with all the hyper keys, I would have forgot what they're called, all the warning contents and such. Then you get the Spark lens and Hypergun mode, and then another image of Kengo. Then essentially everything you can do with it. So, and the other two keys. So let's take a look at the product itself. So here we are with the entire set as a whole. Obviously the G.U.T.S Sparklense and the G.U.T.S Hyper Key itself. Obviously we'll take a look at the gimmick later. Obviously here's our main transformation device of the year. Obviously the G.U.T.S Sparklense is a combination of, I believe, the G.U.T.S, the G.U.T.S Hypergun and the Sparklense from Tiga originally. So this time around they decided to combine the two, which is pretty interesting. Obviously this thing doesn't really have a lot, from what I can remember, of the original Hypergun. Obviously this was just mostly this very cream white plastic, which I really appreciate, and then these gold trims around it, which again I do think the gold is pretty neat. Then you got this blue centerpiece, you got the speakers right here, then you got the G.U.T.S Select symbol right there, which is pretty cool. Obviously this is where you're going to insert the hyper keys, which you can tell this is actually a pin system, and then you can just see how this entire system works, which I think is pretty neat. On and off switch here, trigger button. I'm happy that it's actually still painted on the back. This is the eject button for the hyper key, and I really do like, my favorite part about the G.U.T.S Sparklense are these gray sections of it. It's like this nice matte finish to it. It just feels really nice overall. And then obviously you got this yellow clear plastic at the center, because obviously when you open it up like so, here you get the G.U.T.S Sparklense in Sparklense mode. So you get the main crystal right here, which I think is very pretty. Then you got the two clear yellow pieces, highly detailed, separated, and I just think it's interesting that they're on one other side. Whoops. It's very easy to swing it and such, so I'll say at least be careful with that. But I just really like how this thing can literally form from a gun to this. It's pretty neat. And it's like, because of this, this thing is pretty gigantic, so it's really difficult to frame. And there's this mechanism here, because obviously I think this is here obviously to cover up this space. So when you open it, it'll just obviously press in and such. But yeah, so switching it on like so, this requires two AAAs, which you insert through here. you get a blue LED, which is pretty interesting. And when you press the trigger, you get a green LED, and you get a simple firing sound. That's basically it. And then when you open it, you get a white LED, then you get a sound very reminiscent of the Tiga Sparklense when you open, because it has that little open sound at the end. However, when you press it, you get aired out, so you can't really do much. So yeah, let's take a look at the hyper key. So again, here are the gimmicks of Trigger, the G.U.T.S hyper keys, which are basically supposed to be like the cartridges from the G.U.T.S hyper gun from Tiga. However, these ones are more obviously ultra base. As you can see, you get this mosaic illustration of Trigger multi-type himself. He is U01. Then you get G.U.T.S Select. As you can see, his base color is purple with the secondary always being black. The activation button. Then when you turn it around, obviously you get the pull tab. Then you get the track, which is B001. Then you get the two buttons that get pressed down when you insert it into things and such. So this is obviously, of course, the first Ultraman series that is fully committing to doing sound gimmicks, not like Rube and such. So obviously the activation button, press this button.
Ultraman Trigger, multi-type.
So there's the activation, and you only get that. So when you hold it down,
Sound mode.
you get sound mode, which is essentially going to go through all the sounds that you will go through with the Sparklense. But we're still going to go through it here. So you get those three sounds, and when you hold it back in, we're back into the normal mode. So let's use this within the G.U.T.S Sparklense. Whoops. So obviously what you want to do is insert or activate the hyper key first.
Ultraman Trigger, multi-type.
And then you want to slot the key into the bottom of the handle when it wants to work, because this is a common issue. So as you can hear, both toys are conjuncturing. However you pronounce that. I'm forgetting to pronounce words. So the both toys are corresponding with each other, because this is saying boot up, and then this is saying Superion. And when we press the trigger, we get a firing sound coming out of this. And that's all you can do. You don't get anything when you hold it down. So to transform, obviously flip open the Sparklense. So then you get the standby process. Again, both of them are both doing something. So obviously to complete the transformation, just press the trigger again. So there you go with the transformation of Ultraman Trigger. I personally really do like it, because it's from the composer of Ghost and 01. And as you can see from there, Trigger, or this one, the LEDs went through, I think 5 different colors before going back into purple, which is pretty neat. So from this point on, you get 3 additional attacks. I apologize for covering the speaker. That's why I have to hold it from here, but yeah, so you only get those 3 sounds, and each time you press it, it'll just go through that same color. But overall, the overall design of the G.U.T.S Sparklense with the hyper key, I really do like it, because I really do like how, you know, you actually do get to see the illustration out, like, you know, through this cover. It's just that for these videos, sadly, just because of how I had to frame it, I'm going to have to cover it, which is upsetting, because obviously that's supposed to be the appeal. And technically this isn't anything special, but because of later sets, later videos, I have to technically show this. So obviously you don't need to go through the entire process of going through Hypergun mode to Sparklense mode. You can just jump straight into G.U.T.S or Sparklense mode, because that's what he primarily does in the show. So again, just simply insert it. As you can see, the LED is green, and you can see it's already doing the standby process. And yeah, so it's just the same. It's just that obviously when you go from Hypergun mode to Sparklense mode, you can automatically jump to the transformation, while with this you can't. Like, that's kind of the drawback with Sparklense mode. You kind of have to sit there and wait. While with like Hypergun mode, just simply switch it. Obviously, how this works again is that basically the trigger button presses down this button. Obviously, there's the one obvious pin that presses down this button. However, this section of the Sparklense controls this, the right one, the black pin, as when it's put down, it's down, the pin is down. Then when you flip it up, the pin retracts in, so then it only presses this. So yeah, and again, we'll get through these later and such. But yeah, overall my thoughts on the G.U.T.S Sparklense itself, by itself, it's alright. But at the same time though, it's like, I can't really like be, I guess, as upset with like just the base package itself because of the G.U.T.S hyper keys, because these things are pretty, like, again, they're pretty fun on their own. Again, these two are kind of on the same level. It's just like they don't really do much on their own, but then when you put them together, they're at least fun. But I'll say it's fine. It's not like amazing as a standalone, like, because this one you definitely need to pick things up to make it more worthwhile. But other than that, it's just, I don't think it's like, honestly, I'll at least say it's a lot fun, like a more fun standalone than the Rube Gyro, because like the Rube Gyro, yes, you got like 4 forms and 4 finishers out with that thing. This, you technically don't get any finishers at all, which I find really weird. But like, I don't know, I'll just say the Rube Gyro, I think just because of how that kind of worked, it just didn't really feel as fun. This one is like, you know, it's, I guess, again, it's just because, like, I think these things kind of help this thing be more entertaining. Just because, you know, you can just sit around and just do that. Like, you can just sit down and play with this by itself. You mostly don't really need this thing. But, yeah, other than that, I think it's fine overall. So that'll have to do with this reviews. This is Power, and I'll leave you people. Bye.